And so just like that, week 3 is done. This is the last full week of block 1. And once again, guys, we've made it and we're still smiling and the students are still smiling. Today was a little bit of a more challenging week. We covered some of the more difficult topics in psychology. So for those of you who don't know, I teach into psychology. However, my specialty is actually neuropsychology or cognitive neuroscience. So I do more of the biological psych side of things than I do necessarily the talk side of psychology. So the topics for this week included things like neuropsychology, sensation and perception, and emotion and motivation, which followed a lot more of the biological roots, which a lot of students when they come to university don't even realize is a component of psychology. Traditionally, students find this stuff fascinating, however they perform poorly on tests because it is a lot more difficult than the other stuff because they can't apply it to themselves. They can't build off their own experiences and they have to rote learn. So how do you teach rote learning material in a blended fashion? Lucky for us, we have an excellent team down in the Hive who are brilliant at technology. And Sonia and Wraith, 2 of our staff members, helped us create 3D brains that you can see right here. So these are little puzzles of the neuroanatomy of the brain that the students can actually complete themselves. Now, how did I implement this in my class? Remembering, this is a smaller class of repeat students, so it is a slightly different cohort from normal. What I did is I went through all the content of the neuroanatomy stuff first. I explained what neuroanatomy was, each part of the lobe, each part of the brain, the structure and the function. And like I said, they were interested, but they were finding it difficult. One of the great things about teaching in this format is when I can see people are starting to get lost, I have the ability to step back and say, where are we stuck? What questions do you have? And this allowed me to delve deeper into the things they were not sure of, while continuing to move on of the things that they understood well. Once we had completed going through the content of the anatomy per se, where I had lots of diagrams that involved a lot of me pointing and a lot of me talking, which I know we're trying to stray away from, I said, that's it. You know, everyone push all the tables to the side of the room and I want you to sit on the floor in teams. Then what I did was I grabbed this box of jigsaw pieces, right? In here are 20 whole brains. And I said this to the students. I tasked the teams to try and complete the puzzle as fast as they can. But this wasn't just an exercise in seeing who could build a puzzle. They had to demonstrate that they'd learned something. They had to demonstrate that they knew how to search for information and be able to critically think in ways that may be challenging for them. So not only did they have to build the puzzle, but they also had to be able to correctly identify each component of the brain and tell me one function of each area. It was great. There was so much laughing and giggling. You can see here, they had a blast. To be honest, before I went into class, I actually contacted the unit convener, the person who was in charge of designing this unit, Cara, and I said, I'm worried. I think they're going to be too hard. But they weren't. And the students loved it. They had their tablets out, they had their laptops out, they were looking at the course content they had just learned and they were applying it on the spot. And every team within 10 minutes was not only able to complete the brain puzzle, but label every part correctly and identify the function. I was so excited, and to be honest, they couldn't stop talking about it. They thought it was fantastic. But then the proof was in the pudding. They did their multiple choice test on neuropsych, and this is where I was worried because traditionally, like I said, they love neuropsych, but they're not as good at it. Every student passed that portion of the test. So if that's not a sign that engagement and activities and practical learning assists in consolidating information, I don't know what is. In terms of my other class, this week was a lot of assessment prep. They had their major assessment due on Tuesday, which was an essay, and a lot of them were very stressed about it. However, having those dedicated hours in class for students to work on their assessments and ask the questions for help when they needed it really paid off. Again, when marking their assessments, a number of the common errors that I have seen over the years were gone. One, because I had the extra class time to scaffold and to teach and actually show them how to structure an essay and what to include in it. but also because the students, rather than suffering in silence when they didn't know an answer or they didn't know what they didn't know, we could sit down and we could talk. I had so many conversations with students who said, I don't know what my question is, but I'm stuck. And now that we have this luxury of time and we have this luxury of building a relationship, I'm able to actually sit down and say, all right, let's figure it out together. And that, I think, is instrumental in their marks. They've now been working towards their group presentations, which they'll be presenting next Monday and next Tuesday. And again, they're having a really good time with it. To scaffold these group presentations, what they are is kind of an oral version of the essay they just wrote. So they learnt the fundamentals individually, and now they get to apply it to a different study in a group. And I think how smoothly the group presentations have been going from me talking to each group individually, it really demonstrates that completing the essay first has assisted them in writing up their group project, because now they understand what they're talking about. It's no longer just reading from cue cards, it's demonstrating depth. So guys, that marks the end of week 3. I can't believe this first block is nearly done. And I tell you what, I'm so excited for block 2, block 3, block 4. Bring it on to actually see all the hard work that the staff have been putting in. Work is the best gift you could have. Next week is going to be a bit more of a busy administrative side of things week, because by the end of next week, all marks have to be in for all students in all subjects. We'll be meeting with the staff of the first year college as a whole collectively to work together to troubleshoot and to discuss our own experiences and our reflections on what worked and what didn't work, to hopefully make for an even better block 2. I look forward to sharing it with you then. Bye.